Hello, everybody. It is me, Pacific. And today I wanted to talk to you about something that has been on my mind for a long time. We live in different times, after all. This is 2012. But I wanted to talk about something that us males are increasingly becoming aware of, discussing, and it needs to be spoken of publicly. Because in our wonderfully open-minded society, politically correct society, and I say both of those sarcastically, males are getting bashed and put down at all levels. We have been made fun of in sitcoms, made fun of in the evening news, and our modern, especially America, media loves to take shots at men and manhood. And some of us are finally getting tired of it. This video is titled, Western Women Are Destroying Themselves, and it's exactly what it means. The Western women that I have in mind would come from the United States, Australia, parts of Europe, Canada, New Zealand, and other European-descended nations. I don't say this as an application to all Western females. There are many fine Western females, that is my disclaimer, but it applies to a lot of them. And what I'm about to say is factual. I noticed a few years ago when I got online to look for a female companion, I looked at date ads, Craigslist, Mate One, eHarmony, and other sites. A lot of people find it popular to get online just to meet somebody even in their own town. They want to email back and forth for months before they'll get up enough nerve to get in their car and meet in a public place face to face. Not my idea of a picnic. I like meeting people face to face. If it doesn't work, I move on. I don't stalk, I don't call, I don't harass. But against that backdrop, we have a lot of females worried about their own personal safety. And I understand some of that, but some of that is over and above. Read any date site, the personals, and yes, I wrote some notes. Bear with me because I wanted to keep my thoughts in somewhat of an order and a flow here. All of this is my own words, this is my own observations, and the collaboration of many fine men that I have spoken to, and even some women are seeing what I'm saying and agreeing. You read personals on Craigslist, eHarmony, Mate One, or any host of other date sites out there. Build yourself a profile, put a picture or don't put a picture, and say this is what I'm looking for, and this is what I am. Some of these ads are quite humorous to read. The first thing that comes up in most ads put up by Western women is attitude, and it's bad. Nasty attitudes. They've got a checklist for men, requirements that are more tremendous than the requirements for entering Yale or Harvard. Men have to go through an interview process, and if they fail at any point in that interview process of what the woman's ideal of a man is, you're done, you don't even get a date. These are women looking for husbands. These are women looking for a date. And you can't even get to first base, meaning going to meet them face to face and seeing yourself if it's even somebody you want to be with. As I read these ads, I started to get discouraged. Women saying, I want a man who has a car. If he doesn't have a car, forget it. Ironically, I'm living in Hong Kong right now. Over 70% or greater don't even have a driver's license here. Yes, I realize the transportation system is different, but people meet on the MTR, the bus, the tram, the ferry, and they like each other, and they meet, and they go out. What a concept. No date site, no Craigslist, no internet forum, and guess what? They meet each other face to face, they go out, and if it doesn't work, they move on. That's the way it used to be in Western nations, at least back until what, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s? Now today, you got to go through an interview process, guys. Sorry, if you don't have a house, if you're not handsome, you don't have money, and of course they want men that have no baggage, no drama, no children, no on and on it goes. I found something as I looked at these, and I even responded to some of these ads. And the responses I got, and I was nice, they were horrible. You're not my type. You have thick glasses. You're just a school bus driver. You're not tall enough. You don't make enough money. On and on it goes. You're divorced. And I started to notice something about most Western women today. They have a goddess complex. They think that They are the top of the list, and that they should be just about next to worshiped. I find it disgusting. You're human too. You sit on a toilet bowl just like the rest of us last time I checked. You're not goddesses, and you're not all that. It was also interesting to notice Christian sites. These were even more humorous. Christian women. I want a godly man who follows Jesus, who studies his Bible, who leads his family in prayer. Then you look at the photos they post. Scantily clad, little tiny two-piece bathing suit, cleavage exposed, very sexual, very sensual. And the last time I checked in the Bible, it says something about modest dressing. Let not your adorning be that of the outward, but the inner beauty of the heart. And Christian or not, I find that most women, with their exterior checklists on us men, they don't care about their own nasty, wicked hearts. And it's funny, the checklist that these women have on us men, they do not put on themselves. No baggage. I find most Western women have baggage. In fact, to be perfectly blunt, I find that all of us have baggage of some sort. It's how we deal with it that makes the difference. Drama, we're all guilty of a little bit of drama, some worse than others. You have one end of the scale, which is your Jerry Springer crowd. Then you have your other end of the scale that doesn't like to deal at all, and when conflict comes, they run and hide and shut off the phone and don't talk to you for a month. Neither one of those are healthy. But hey, let's move on. Back to the Christian women that got the little attitude. If you're divorced, I don't want you. If you have children, I don't want you. If you're not a godly man, on and on and on. And I started asking myself, does Jesus want women to be bitchy and attitude? I don't think so. So let's talk about looks, why I believe Western women are destroying themselves. Let's start with hair color. I'm here in Hong Kong where you get a lot of the arrogant expat women coming in. They get to Hong Kong, it goes straight to their head because this is, after all, one heck of a wealthy place. And women that were just about nothing in their own homelands come here and it goes straight to their head, an ego trip. Pretty sad. I find that the women here, some of them over 6 feet tall, spending too much money on clothes, coffee, and other things, I find that they're not only not attractive, but if you watch their body language and everything, they carry themselves like they are just a goddess. All of them want to dye their hair blonde. I don't know why they want to be wannabe blondes, but they're all brown hair, and you see the roots showing. They've pulled their hair up in a big mess, and it's interesting. You've got the I didn't shower today look, which is very popular among Western women. Get out of bed, pull your hair in a tie, and walk out and think you're cool. And that goes for the whole sweatpants and pajamas out in public thing. Pretty disgusting. I don't like it. To continue this video, I am going to have to move because it is starting to drizzle, so please bear with me. Okay, sorry about that. A little unexpected morning Hong Kong shower, but that's okay. That's why it's so green here. Anyways, back to where I left off. Something happened to Western women in the 60s and 70s. They started chopping off their hair, cutting it up, chopping it. This is just my personal opinion, women, but I like long hair. I think long hair on a woman is absolutely beautiful, absolutely sexy. Why women chop off the long hair that God gave them, I don't understand. And I find that most Western women follow the crowd, follow Hollywood's ideal, follow the standard of the culture, and I find it repulsive. Women destroy their looks. They don't seem to ask anybody else, especially from the male contingency, that, hey, does this look good or not? I find that most men I talk to like a natural looking woman, naturally long hair, natural looks, but instead, one of the things that we men need to start looking for on the dating site when they've chopped up their hair and they've frizzed it out, destroyed it, and it's split ends and dried up, damaged Western style hairstyles, it's obvious they don't accept their real color that God gave them. So why would we want a fake? Why would we want a woman who cannot accept being real? That should be red flag number one to us males. We men need to stop looking below the neckline and start looking at the actual face. Because I'll tell you what, that's what you got to stare at across the breakfast table every day, if you even eat together these days, which most people don't. I think it's interesting that I didn't take a shower look today, back to the sweatpants. I find it repulsive no matter how good looking you are when you crawl out of bed in a t-shirt, sweatpants, pull your hair up in a tie and go to Walmart or the store in the morning, and you sit there and the women with no bra and their nipples are poking through their shirt and you're going, wow, can you imagine waking up to that every day? No thanks. You know, when I get up and I go outside, I don't think I'm GQ at all. But I wash myself, comb my hair, put on a clean pair of clothes, and I'm a guy. And I'm getting judged by women like this. That's one of the reasons I ended up in Asia. Long story. But I met a woman over here, and have met several women over here, and I find a lot of the women to be different over here. Natural beauties, and a lot more accepting than a lot of Western women. And a lot of men are finding that to be true. So online's starting to work against some of them. It's kind of like we go off what we know. The more exposure we men are getting, we're starting to realize, hey, we don't have to pick in our little boring town, Western Americana or Australia or whatever. We can go around the globe and find somebody. And some of these women are pretty nice. The other thing I've noticed is a lot of women, let's talk about makeup. Too much. Personally, I'm not into all the bright red, unnatural colored lipstick and eyeliner and eyeshadow and foundation makeup and the caked on junk all over the cheeks to hide little pits or divots in your skin. You know what? I don't care about a divot in your skin. That's life. I like real beauty. I don't like manufactured beauty. And if Hollywood is your standard and Cosmopolitan and Elle and all the women's magazines that you spend way too much time reading at and looking at is your standard, then I don't want you. I want a woman who doesn't follow the cultural crowd. That doesn't mean I don't want you to take care of yourself. I'm going to get on with that. That goes for perfumes. Women either wear too much of it, and you can smell it a mile away, and your eyes are watering, and your nose is itching, and you're coughing and sneezing because of allergy and chemicals they're putting in perfumes today that's enough to kill just about any species of living creature. Or women wear perfume that smells worse than bathroom cleaners. Not sure what that's all about, but I've gotten next to some women, I'm like, what is that? Is that used to clean the toilet bowl? Yeesh. I think some women have forfeited the right, in my opinion, of being able to dress themselves and choose for themselves what they ought to wear, because they end up looking worse, not better. Speaking of fashion disasters and fashion faux pas, Western women are into the mushroom shirts, even if they got pudge. They like that 1 or 2 inches of belly line squeezing out over their pants and their shirt. Some of us don't find that very pretty. And then the cleavage. It's all about cleavage. Leave it to cleavage. Western women feel the need to show their boobs. I see that here in Asia. Asia, sitting here in Hong Kong, most of the Asian women dress modestly. And the comment's been made by Western women, well, that's because they don't have any boobs. The arrogance of Western women to even make that kind of a comment is beyond acceptable. And the second thing I notice is, whether they're small or big, they need to be covered. Just my opinion. I find that most Western women are dressed like they're headed for the bedroom, not for the public, certainly not for the office place. And you go into most office buildings of any westernized nation and you'll have leave it to cleavage at the front desk. And the men need to stop hiring that as the standard. but they get the jobs because men obviously are sight-oriented and they like the big-boobed woman at the front desk with her cleavage showing because that's just hot. I find it disgusting and unprofessional and tacky. Let's talk about another issue that's going to be very sensitive. And no matter how I handle this, people will be offended. But it needs to be spoken of. This is not hate crime. This is not anything that's calling for, what's the word I'm looking for? Harassment of people that we don't find in our preference range. But it is something that needs to be discussed. Obesity is dominating Western cultures. It's all over the West. Due to fast food restaurants, due to different lifestyles, due to changing lifestyles, and the bottom line reason is laziness. A lot of people are sitting on their butts today, whether it's at work or at home. Get off work, go home, flop on the couch, turn on the TV, grab your bag of favorite chips, grab your beer can, grab your munchies, and eat until you can't stand it anymore. When I see obese women, the first thing that tells me is I wouldn't want that. Why? They're lazy. That woman's not going to have the drive or the incentive that I need to get up early in the morning and go for a morning walk with me. Not somebody who's possibly going to keep the house clean. Now, I'm not saying that all obese women are messy housekeepers. A lot that I've met are. And I have had a lot of people in my life. Overweight, slender, toothpick skinny, my size, big size, everything. Now, disclaimer, I know we're all different sizes. Not everybody can be pencil thin. Not everybody can be slender and lean. We're all different sizes, have different bone structures. The kind of obesity I'm talking about is obesity that is not natural to your own body. Obesity where you are overweight, size and height proportion, height and weight proportion. And I find that that's a growing trend. And instead of people disciplining themselves to get up, exercise, eat proper foods, start cooking at home, something that's non-microwavable or crapinabox.com, they eat junk food all day, and they want us men to accept them. Read any ad on Craigslist in Spokane, Washington, and you'll find, I'm a little bit chunky, and if that bothers you, just move on. Thank you, ma'am. I will. And many men are. And if you don't like us not accepting that, then I suggest you do the following. Stay single or find a man that looks just like you and is comfortable with that. Because I am finding that I am not impressed with people that don't discipline their bodies. I don't expect you to look like Mademoiselle, but I love a woman who's clean, takes care of herself, is slender, and puts on, clean set of clothes every day. The older I get, I've learned something. I used to get turned on by the cosmopolitan's idea of hot-looking woman until I started looking into it deeper. And I've looked at all kinds of garbage that I shouldn't have, and so have a lot of men, and I've dated a lot of women, and I find something interesting. I don't know any woman that looks like the woman that Hollywood portrays or the glossy, glamored magazines at the checkout aisle in the grocery store put out. They're airbrushed. They've had Botox and detox and obese talks and hair removal talks, and the problem is I think they're just toxic, period. They're toxic because men look at that and think that women actually look that way, and they don't. Again, I don't care if it's Hollywood's latest star, rock and roll diva. They all sit on the toilet. They all wake up and need to brush their teeth, fix their hair, and put on a load of chemicals and embalming fluids and liquids and cleaners to make themselves look that good. Again, I don't want a manufactured woman. I want a woman who's beautiful, naturally. I was on a Spokane's Craigslist last summer. A woman had put her several pictures of herself, and she was very, very obese. In her profile, she went on and on about what she wants in a man. The whole thing was attitude. I don't want a man with drama. I don't want a man with baggage. You look at her pictures, she had the tough look on her face. And then you read on, and she said, and I don't want a man who's obese. I find that unattractive. I wrote her back and I said, ma'am, I'm looking at your photos and you're obese. And she said, no, I'm not. I said, look at your pictures. She goes, yes, those are my pictures. Her arms were this big around. And I see this with women. And the ones that are good looking, their little requirement attitude checklist. And I have a question for you women. Do you really think that that turns us men on? What are you trying to sell us on your sex pill only? Because we're certainly not impressed with the heart. You can tell a lot about a person by what they put on their profile and how their tone is and how they're writing it and how they're coming across. I'm sorry. I don't want to marry a woman who's bitchy. I've been through that all my life. I've had a bad mother who was moody and like that. And I'm seeing a lot of women hide behind that moody and bitchiness and, well, I'm a woman and it's that time of the month and on it goes. I have met a lot of women that are not like that at all. So it's an excuse. I find that with a lot of the obesity also goes attitudes. A lot of obese women hang out together and they sit there and put men down and then they don't accept me and that's too bad and blah, blah, blah. Well, they just don't get to go out with me and have fun, ladies. Stay single for the rest of your life. And that goes for you good-looking women that I haven't found my perfect one yet. I got news for you. Based on the checklist you're putting out there that you don't adhere to yourself, that you expect us men to adhere to, I don't imagine you're going to find anybody anytime soon. So have fun being single, because that's the message you're sending to us. What you're doing is putting a profile out there telling us men you really don't want us men because the standard you're looking for doesn't exist. Have fun with that. I'll tell you what we men would like, and this is the truth. I've talked to men, and I'm a professional driver. I drive a school bus, and this is what I see all day with Western women. Western women like to brag that they can multitask. Yeah, I see you're real good at that. You do real good texting and driving and running stop signs and failing to stop at red lights and pulling out in front of a school bus and running the school bus stop arm with kids crossing. You're real good at multitasking. I see that. I see that women love to talk on the phone, even though it's against the law in Washington State and several others, but they don't care. You know, I don't want to marry a woman that can't follow basic rules like wait for the walk sign to come out, make a complete stop at a stop sign, use your turn signals, and quit driving with your little doggy on your lap. Some of us men would like a woman that cares more about men than the poochie that she spends way too much money on. You know, it's pretty sad. I'd like a woman that spends more time with us males rather than on Facebook or the latest television sitcom or chasing down the latest movie or spending time reading Cosmopolitan, Mademoiselle, and Elle and all the other magazines and even the tabloid trash out there. I'd like a woman that's not obsessed with shopping malls and shop till you drop and filling her house with so much crap, most of it useless and unnecessary when billions of people around the globe are starving. I'd like to actually find a simple, uncomplicated woman who doesn't believe in getting in debt, who doesn't feel the need to have an SUV. And I'm finding that women today, it's all about me, my SUV, and my $5 latte. Why would I want a woman like that? What is that going to do for me? Sorry, women. It's men's turn at the podium. Some of us are tired of it. We want women of substance, women that have value in themselves and towards others. It's not all about you, and it's definitely not all about me. But if you want a man in your life, it then becomes us. I also have to laugh, too, that people now want prenup agreements. To those that want prenuptial agreements, don't get married. If you can't come into the marriage and give everything to each other, stay single. Just give it up. I'd like to meet women that can actually hold a conversation of intelligence. I'd like to meet women that are not superficial, flaky, and beyond ridiculous, and then pretending they're so mature and sophisticated. What a joke, while their kids are little brats. I'd like to see women that can and will admit they're wrong. And I say can and will, because some can but won't. and it's sad. I have found more women than not that cannot say simple words. I am sorry. I had an attitude towards you. I put you down. I disrespected you. I'd like to find women that don't follow the culture over a cliff and watch all Hollywood's fare and all the tabloid garbage and read stupid romance novels and care about the vain, silly garbage that our society is continuing to produce. I'd like to find women that actually respect men instead of bashing men. I'd like to find women that stop fighting us, competing against us, trying to take us on, and trying to prove to the world they're more superior than us. I'm starting to get the attitude that if women want equal rights, they'll get them. Here in Hong Kong, I find a lot of the local women like to not move out of the way for us men. Don't say thank you when you hold the door open for them, and that's rampant in Western culture, by the way. Hold the door open for a Western woman, and 9 out of 10 will not say thank you. Okay, you want equal rights? Next time I fling it open, and I'm not stopping. And it's funny, when I do that, they go, oh, thanks for holding the door. So I started doing a little trick with Western women. When I hold the door open, they don't say thank you. I say, you're welcome. They turn around and give me a nasty look. Gotcha, you know what you're doing. I find that women love to exude and expend energy, ignoring us. They're conscientiously thinking about it. When a man smiles or says hi, they snub us. Gives them a little power trip. I did an experiment some years ago in Duluth, Minnesota, home of liberal thinking and feminism. Walk down the street, woman comes towards me, she's looking right at you. You'd smile, say hi, nothing. So I stop. I'd be in a place and I'd see pretty women and I'd just pretend I don't see them. I'd look over and around them and I notice something. They'd say hello. I don't know why people got to play games. I don't understand that. Just because I say hello and smile at a woman doesn't mean I want to get down your pants, honey. You're not all that. I'm tired of the stereotype that women use that all men are pigs while they dress to show their cleavage, and when a man does look and admire their breasts, they get upset and call us perverts. I'm on to something here, folks. And you know what I'm saying is true. I also like to meet women that quit thinking that they're goddesses, divas, and perfect, and expecting us men to hold to some standard that they themselves don't put on themselves. I'd like to see women in Western culture come down off of their thrones, down off of their ego trips and their insecurities hidden by shop till you drop materialism and buying SUVs so that you can think you're cool and $5 lattes and the whole little attitude thing. Let me know when you get real, and then I might be interested in looking at your profile. Till then, forget it. Tattoos and piercings, to each his own. I don't personally care for the tattoos and piercings. I believe God gave us a body. We need to take care of it. And I think that if God wanted body art all over us, he would have put it on us. Just my opinion. Do with that what you will. But when I see Western women with piercings here and piercings here and piercings here and everywhere piercing, and 55 earrings all around the ear, and then the ear ripped all the way through because of the heavy earrings they wore, I'm sorry, ladies. It's not attractive. It's not my thing. And if you want a handsome man, you're going to have a hard time finding one. I could go on and on. For the Western women that saw fit never to wear a bra. Hey, some of us don't like that either. You want to run around like that, and when you're 30 years old and they're sagging all the way down to your waist, don't expect us to find that to be a turn on. Why am I saying all this? Because we men are getting slammed and bashed at every turn. And it's time that women hear some truth as well. This, again, does not apply to all women. I'd like to see Western women stop selling their cleavage and their sensuality and start dressing with some style and class instead of tacky and disgusting. I find that most women spend too much money on clothing, and they don't end up looking any better than me, who bought this shirt at a thrift store and the pants at Walmart. I find it very interesting. Again, a lot of women have lost the right to decorate themselves. I've looked at some women that had pretty faces, nice hair, and I thought, gosh, I'd like to put an outfit on them that would make them look stunning. Maybe I ought to go into that. I'd like to meet women that can say more than, oh my God. I'd love to meet women that don't go, oh my God. I would like to see some women that actually have some depth, that can go deeper than superficials, that can talk more about stuff that matters in life instead of the new patio furniture they just bought, or the home remodel they're doing, or the consumer buyer's report on the latest Toyota Sequoia, or got to go experience a new latte at Starbucks. Our culture has sunk to lows that I never thought I'd see in my life. And because I've traveled overseas, I'm finally waking up to it. But you can't tell most people that today. One, they don't see it, and two, if they do see it, they don't care. But if you want a man in your life, there's some of us men that are tired of flim-flam. We're looking for some substance too. And there's a lot of nice men out there, ladies. A lot of nice men, but you'll never know them because they don't make enough money, or they don't drive the car or truck you want, or they don't have a house, whatever. But they work, they bathe, they're clean, they're decent looking, and they'll treat you like gold if you show them some respect and love. But you'll never know that. You're too busy chasing around an ideal that doesn't exist. I'd like Western women to ask themselves a question. What is the one string on your violin that you're playing that you expect us to come after? Is it your looks? That gets old. How are you in a marriage? How are you in a relationship? Is it all about you? It's all about you spending $5,000 on a leather purse? Because if it is, I don't want you. I'd like a woman that can actually go through the thick and thin with me, that would stop building their kingdom on mortgages and mortgages for autos, and then having more dogs, and then having more kids that you throw into daycare, and dogs that bark and disturb the neighbors. And then when the neighbors call and complain, the woman gets up in arms and yells and screams and's got a drama going with the neighbors because they're so terrible for complaining about the dogs that are disturbing their right to peace and silence. I'd like to meet women that actually have some substance. I'm finding it a rare thing in Western culture. Moving right along. Most women today in Western cultures don't need us men. Used to be the man had the car, the man had the job, and women wanted a man to take care of them. Things have shifted. Women work, women can buy cars, and women have their own independence. Good for you. If that's what you want, realize this. When you're involved in a relationship, if you don't want to be bonded to another human and you don't need each other, then don't get involved. I need a woman in my life because God made it that way. When I say need, I don't mean needy, clingy, desperate, oh my gosh. But I want a companion to share my life with, a friend, a lover, and a wife. And I've made my own mistakes. I have been married and am divorced, and I've got my own problems. But, again, that's not what this video is about. This video is about what I see. I've admitted when I've been wrong. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't do drugs. I don't live in debt. I pay my bills on time. I keep my house cleaner than most westernized women do today. Fact. I have good taste in interior decorating. The inside of my truck is immaculate. And what's funny, women will look right past me because of my size, my thick glasses, and that I'm a school bus driver. Meanwhile, I've lived in Hong Kong for 1 year off some money I had in the bank, while most Western women are showing off their SUV, driving like jerks, sipping their $5 latte, filling their houses with junk, and they've never been anywhere. I have more experiences than most Western women that I've met, and I have had a rather colorful life and an interesting journey, fraught with failure, fraught with adventure, fraught with romance, fraught with failed romance, but I've lived. And I'm learning as I go. I'd love to meet a woman that shares my values, if there is such a thing. How about ladies? And I use the term ladies. I'm not meeting too many ladies anymore. I meet a lot of females, but not ladies. I find that Western women are destroying themselves on all fronts. Their looks, their personal hygiene. I meet women that don't bother to shave their underarms, and they expect us men to find that attractive when they wear their little sleeveless shirts. I'm sorry, some of us find that repulsive. Again, symbolizes I'm lazy. I'm getting tired of us men being told to stomach this over and over and hit in the guts. If you don't accept me the way I am, don't worry. We're not going to go after you if that's what you are on the front end. And that's why many men aren't. So quit putting that in your Craigslist ads. It's obvious that you're being rejected. It's obvious that men are saying no. Because if you were secure in yourself and you feel so strongly that you're right there where you're supposed to be, you would have the confidence and put out an ad saying what you're looking for in a man that's reasonable. And stop bragging and dramatizing about, I don't want this, it's this. Wow. I've learned to go through the personal ads real quickly. It takes 2 seconds. The minute I see that one thing, I want a man who has no baggage, I don't read the rest. I don't want a man who's got drama, I don't read the rest. When I see no pictures, no response, and then you yourself don't post a photo, and I find that a lot of women that, and we know what's going on here, a lot of them are quite obese, and they won't post a photo, so they put some cute little kitten picture or some little smiley fish picture or some dumb thing like that. I don't even respond. I'm sorry, I want to see who the person I'm even going to write to looks like. I'm getting tired of Western women telling us men, oh, I'm so tired about men going only after looks. You go after looks. I tried an experiment some years ago with some women that were not my cup of tea. Just for fun. I wanted to see how accepting they were of me. Reading their ads, you could gather that people weren't accepting them, and they were not my type. Some of them were quite obese. And you start writing them, and you found that they were having the same requirements as the women that consider themselves goddesses and tens. You're picky too, so get over it. I'd like to meet women that aren't so selfish. I'd like to meet women that actually care about a man and trying to please the man. And I don't mean pleasing abusive men and putting up with garbage. But again, when Western women learned that arguing and yelling and screaming at men were naturally given a level of authority. And for those that aren't Christians, disregard what I'm about to say. But yes, men are supposed to be the head of their homes in the Christian faith. When women want to buck and argue with men, they fail to realize it doesn't work with us. All it does is make us stand against you even more and dig our heels in. Men were made with testosterone for a reason. We were made to be leaders for a reason. When women want to compete with us men, our adrenaline and our testosterone rises and we're being disrespected. I don't believe in dominant males. I don't believe in abusive or tyrannical or dictatorial males. But I'm getting tired of our culture sliding more and more towards forcing us men to deny our manhood and accept women and the garbage that I've just talked about. I don't think we should have to. And I know many men that aren't, and I myself won't anymore. I'm not going to bother to put my profile out there. I've learned now if I can't meet a woman face to face in this real world, I don't want you. But I think that men ought to do their own Craigslist ad. I think that it would really be funny. I ought to put it something like this. If you've dyed your hair, don't bother to message me. If you put on too much makeup, no need, not into manufactured beauty. If you have breast implants, you're fake. If you're into SUVs, materialism, and want dogs and kids but don't want to take care of the kids and throw them in the daycare, bye-bye. If you're into superficial conversations, Hollywood, shop till you drop mentality and expect a man to be there at your beck and call, and yet you don't want him to meddle into your affairs and tell you that maybe you got a shopping addiction or that maybe you're being too superficial and flaky and he's tired of having a very low level of existence with you, well, maybe you'd better not message me. I'd like to meet some real ladies out there. Ladies that accept the fact that some of us are divorced, some of us had our own baggage in the past, but that we're people with feelings, and that we try to work through our problems, and that we're not making drama, we're just trying to move forward. For you women that want men that are not divorced, and especially Christian women, I would challenge you to look into the Word of God and ask yourself, are you really living the way Christ just wants you to live? Because I find most Christian women are not. They're just as caught up in materialism, just as caught up in the nasty, horrible attitude that comes across in every profile you build of yourself. I just don't find a lot of Western women desirable anymore. And if you come to Hong Kong here, you'll see it all over the place. These women going into these big malls down here and dropping huge amounts of money. But you see them on the street, and their hearts are ugly, their countenances are ugly, and they've got an attitude. Why would I want to go after that? So what if you got a great body? I have no interest. No thanks. I have to live with you every day. I think I'll pass. And a final closing thought on all this. I would rather stay single and have peace in my life than put up with all the garbage that I've just mentioned. Western women, you need to take stock, you need to do some introspection, and you need to realize some of us males have had enough of being bashed and put down and stepped on and walked on and disrespected when I'm sitting here looking at you guys and your tacky styles and your bleached out hair and your wrecked up looks, and I'm sitting here going, Nosi Balasi, which is Tagalog for who are they? And in American vernacular, who do you think you are? We're people, folks. And maybe the profiles need to reflect a little more humility, a little more gentleness, a little more kindness, and stop saying what you don't want and start putting the kind of a profile that men of quality actually might respond to. People who say they're not looking for drama and people with baggage, it's clear that that's all they're getting. Maybe you ought to check yourself and ask why. Maybe because you're projecting what you're projecting and what you're reaping what you're sowing. I don't know, just a thought. And for those that are too lazy to get off the couch every day and actually care about what matters, I find a lot of Western women don't vote. A lot of Western women don't get involved in anything that matters, know nothing about politics, care little about real faith, but instead they want to know the latest sitcom or who the next flake is on American Idol. This is what we men are supposed to get excited about. We're supposed to go, wow, I want a woman like that. This is Pacific, signing off. Women, there's some good ones out there. I salute you. Keep being who you are. For the ones that I talked about in this video, please do some soul searching. Some of us men have had enough, and I've said what I've had to say. And by the way, as an American citizen, I have the right to freedom of speech. And I find that political correctness is not allowing us to have our freedom of speech, which is just not fair. Women can bash us men, people can say the F word to each other, and nothing's done about that. But people will get incensed by the things that I have just said. Western culture, in my opinion, is really going down the toilet fast. Meanwhile, the people that I've just talked about, most of them are so blind to themselves that they'll just continue to be arrogant and go, oh, that guy's a loser. I can take it. I've heard it most of my life. But the facts are the facts. Some of us men are not interested in your type. So, that being said, this is Pacific signing off. And to all you men that have been through what I've been through, hey, we need a support group, man. We really do. Leave your comments. They're only accepted by my approval only. So if they're nasty and hate-filled, they go to the white porcelain bowl. That's the toilet for those that don't understand. I want intelligent thought. Even if you disagree with me, let's be intelligent, please. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.